From the Ticats Audio Network, this is Ticats Today with Braden Neville.
On today's episode of Ticats Today, we recap Simone Lawrence Day, an incredible celebration of the Ticats' all-time leader in tackles, and I catch up with the newly re-signed Ticats receiver, Tim White. It's Thursday, February 22nd, 2024, and this is Ticats Today. It was a great day yesterday as Ticats fans celebrated Simone Lawrence on Hamilton's first ever Simone Lawrence Day, the day starting off with Simone receiving the key to the new Snowmone Lawrence snowplow from Mayor Andrea Horvath at City Hall, and then made its way to Tim Hortons Field, where hundreds of Ticats fans came to show their gratitude to number 21, all while helping raise nearly $8,000 to Food for Kids Hamilton. And it was really a great time. It was great to see some of you fans of the show and Ticats fans and those people who came up to say hi to me. It was great to get to meet some of you, and just an awesome time and a great send-off to one of the greatest players in Ticats history. On today's episode, I spoke to a player who is cementing himself already as one of the best receivers in the CFL, if not the best, Mr. Tim White, Timothy White, the one everyone was hoping to see back in the black and gold, a huge piece of this offense and the CFL's leader in receiving yards. And he spoke to me about returning to Hamilton for 2 more seasons. All right, joining me now from sunny California is Tim White. Tim, first of all, congratulations, man, on re-signing for another 2 seasons. And how does it feel to be out there in that Cali weather right now? I'm jealous.
It feels good right now. You know, it's always feels good to be back home. But yeah, it's beautiful out. It feels nice.
You've signed on for another 2 seasons with the Ticats. How does it feel to know you're going to remain in the black and gold here for the next 2 years?
Feels pretty good. You know, it's exciting to be back. You know, I'm looking forward to it. Definitely the one goal coming back is just getting a Grey Cup, you know, and in the drought.
Yeah, man. And it's one of those things, you know, I like the group coming back here. People on Twitter and all over social media wanted Tim White back. They made it pretty clear. Were you seeing all those tweets and all the fans asking for Tim to come back?
Yeah, I've seen a lot. You know, it was a great level of support, I feel, from, you know, a lot of the Ticat fans. So that was exciting. And also my teammates, you know, who continuously wrote me and, you know, just expressed, you know, that they wanted me back and all that. So it was a real nice time.
You're going to be coming back with a new head coach, a guy you worked with last year for that second half of the year, in Scott Milanovich. What have those conversations been like with him, and what does he bring to an offense, and now what will he bring as head coach?
Yeah, no, I feel like the biggest thing he brings overall is just his ability to be, you know, to be direct, you know, allowing us to head in one direction as a team, as an offense. You know, I feel like it's going to be pretty clear cut of which way, you know, what the standard is and how we need to execute that plan. So, you know, I feel like Scott is like the best piece that you could have, you know, for a team. So I'm looking forward to it.
When I look at your numbers from last year, it was incredible. You led the league in receiving yards, 1269, third in receiving touchdowns and targets, and then you were up there in receptions as well. Are these numbers that you think that you can improve on even more?
I do. You know, the first thing is winning. You know,
Yeah.
that's the number one thing, and going further to the playoffs and getting to a Grey Cup. But yeah, those numbers, I feel like as long as, you know, it impacts the win sheet, I feel like they can improve, and definitely feel like I could be a lot more dominant.
You ended up leading the league in receiving yards, like I said, but that second half of the season, you exploded. What was it about the year last year where it seemed like you got better as it went on?
Yeah, you know, I mean, I feel like it's just opportunity. You know,
Mm-hmm.
obviously once we got Scott in the building, you know, my target share went up. You know, and I feel like I was able to improve in those categories. And I think the biggest thing is just opportunities, and then just being able to execute at a high level. You know, so it gives your team the best chance to win.
One of those guys who will be throwing you the ball, and a guy you didn't really get to play with a whole lot last year due to injuries, is Bo Levi Mitchell. But what does it mean to get him back and to now go into training camp with Bo as your QB?
It's exciting. You know, I feel like we share the same amount of excitement, you know, when I'm sure he thinks about, man, I get to throw to Tim.
Yeah.
You know, he gets excited about that. And I'm like, man, once Bo's, you know, really going, I know that's exciting. So I feel like it's just going to allow us to really just build a lot of chemistry, you know, as year 2 with each other. So, you know, we're familiar with each other's personalities and stuff. And I think it's just going to be a fun room to be a part of, you know, in our offense. I feel like it's going to give us the best chance to win.
One of those guys you built chemistry with last year that was sort of the surprise of the offense is Taylor Powell. And I believe his first throw, or one of his first throws, was a touchdown pass to you. Was that a guy you felt that chemistry with almost immediately when he came in?
Yeah, definitely. Taylor Powell, aka Baby Savage, um, he stepped in a role and really showed out that showed that he had the ability to be there. And I think that's one of the biggest things that you have to do as a rookie. Stepping into that role is just show that you belong. So he did that part, and I'm excited to see what the future holds for him. Yeah, first pass was a touchdown.
Yeah, bomb.
So the fans should be really excited, whenever they see Taylor Powell back there.
What was that? Baby Savage? Is
Yeah,
that a new nickname for Taylor Powell we haven't heard yet?
that was his name. That was his nickname from last year. Baby Savage. He might have grown from the baby part though, so he might be Savage now. I don't know. We'll
We can
see.
call him sophomore Savage, or we'll come up with something better maybe for Taylor. But no, man, that's probably one of the best nicknames I've heard so far. You were an All-Star last year. You've been an All-Star several years. I know that's not something you pay attention to, but does that give you a little bit of boost knowing that you're coming off consecutive All-Star seasons?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you look at everything that you do,
Yeah.
and you have it being an all-star, division all-star, those are all big, but the number one thing is winning, man. Can we end the drought?
Yes.
Can we
Bro,
end the drought?
please.
Like it's time Hamilton gets a championship. That's what I'm most excited for. The opportunity that lays in front of us is a championship.
You got some. I mean, I totally agree. I think Ticats fans are waiting for that too. It's been quite some time, but I mean, I'm looking at this offense. It's shaping out nicely. A couple guys that you're used to. I want to talk about one of those guys, and that's Andre Smith, a
Oh
guy
yeah.
who's been growing throughout his career. You look at his numbers every year; they've been going up and up and up. But what have you been noticing about him throughout the growth of his first few years now with you on that offense?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like when I look at Keandre, he's one of the guys that just did everything right. As far
Mm-hmm.
as stepping into the building, taking his role extremely serious, learning the ins and outs of our offense, doing the dirty work. So blocking, you know, those
Yep.
are the things that keep you on the field as a young guy. And he did that part. And then last year, you got to see him make some catches and, make some big time plays. And I think now, he's probably extremely confident because that's Keandre. Uh,
Yeah.
I, I,
Yeah, he
I
is.
think I think now he has the ability to grow into his role a little bit more, and he has trust within the coaches. He has trust within his teammates to make those plays. So now it's just on him to really get that extra little bit to put him over that 1,000 yard mark or whatever it may be, and really establish yourself as a receiver in this league.
Another guy who was flirting with that 1,000 yard mark was Terry Godwin. What have you seen from him last year being his first full season, I guess, on that receiving core? But what did you see from him last year?
Yeah, I mean Terry. What I seen from him last year is just his ability to display consistency. I feel like, kind of like Keandre, that's one of the first things that you need to do is just when you get those opportunities, can you make those plays? And
Mm-hmm.
then your next year where you're going to get those opportunities, you want to make the big plays that really change the game. So I feel like his first year, he really just established himself as being extremely consistent, and the next level is really just making those big plays.
Yeah, and lots of guys we could get into on that offense. I want to get into what you've been doing this off season. You're in California, you're enjoying the weather, but what's the training been like for you out there? Are you doing those beach workouts you've told me about in the past?
Yes, the beach workouts is something that's always like a part of my game, a part of my off season. This year I've been on the track a lot lately, just a lot of 400s, a lot of 300, a lot of the
Yeah.
tough stuff that just hurts your body a lot. But
Yeah.
it's mandatory, when you're thinking about training camp. You're like, I want to be as prepared as possible. I want to be as in shape as possible. And if you want to continue to break off these 60 yarders, you have to be in shape for it. So, I'm definitely just locked in. It's super excited to be back, and it's a long road to training camp. So I'm just gonna continue to put the work in day by day.
Are you willingly doing the 400 meter? Because that's the most painful race there is. I would say the 400's just grueling because it's basically like you're running a 100 for 400 meters, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. It is a sprint. There is some
Yeah.
to it. But when you're training, you're just trying to get in the best shape as possible. And the 400, man, that's a man's race. So
Yeah.
in order to break the 60-yarders, you got to be in shape, and so that's one of the main things this year.
I made the mistake in high school, Tim, of going and entering the 400 meter, and I didn't realize just what a grueling race that was. And let's just say I only did that one time. Aside from the training, the running, the football, what are you doing out there to wind down a little bit?
First things first, I'm just hanging out with the family, making sure I'm getting my time in with my kids, and just relaxing, just chilling. Yeah.
Are you a surfer at all, Tim?
I'm not at all.
You're
No.
not into
I
surfing?
hate the water. It's
Really?
Yeah, it's too cold for me.
So you're just staying on the beach. You're not going in the ocean or doing any of that
I'll
stuff?
be on the sand. I might dip my feet in there a little bit, but that's it. As far as
man. One guy I wanted to ask you about, I forgot to mention, was your new receivers coach, Naaman Roosevelt. That's a guy who's had multiple 1,000-yard receiving seasons. Is it nice to have that extra boost, that extra set of eyes on a guy who's been there before and done that?
Absolutely. I feel like that's extremely impactful for a guy like me, and definitely impactful for the younger guys stepping into the building, just being able to relay that level of experience from a coach's perspective now, I think is a great thing. And I feel like that's really, when I look at our coaching staff, I feel like it's a lot of guys that actually played. So I feel like that's going to be a benefit to our entire team, fundamentally making sure that we're fundamentally sound and, being able to just grind out certain key wins during the season.
Yeah, no, and you look at this coaching staff, there's a lot of new pieces, but there's definitely some guys who have done a lot in the CFL, a lot of guys who have won Grey Cups. Tim, for the rest of for the rest of the off season, what's kind of your mindset here as you wind down into these next couple months into preseason?
Yeah, no whining now. We're ramping up.
Ramping up. All right, let's go.
Like it's really like that's what it is. You have to kind of like lock into that zone. This is where you're communicating with friends and stuff, man. Y'all have January and February after that. Like it's time to lock in. It's time to be extremely dedicated to our craft. So it's kind of just making sure that I'm prepared in every single way possible, and going into training camp, on a high note.
Well, man, we're looking forward to it. A lot of Ticats fans, myself included, excited to have you back in the black and gold. Timothy White will be back playing here in 2024. So thanks for joining me today, man, and enjoy that sunshine.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I appreciate that.